My guy, you know what time it is. And you also know what day it is. It's Update Sunday. Huh. Update Sunday. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Today, big dog, I want to bring you an update on mental health because as you already know, you should take care of your mental health before your mental take care of you, right? One of the biggest things I want to address, which I have been guilty of, is time management. Now, from time to time, when I tell people I do YouTube full time, they say, of course, I love what I do, and I'm very grateful to be in the position that I am, but that couldn't be further from the truth. A normal day for you boy is that I wake up at 5 a.m. and I'll be done at 5 p.m. 7 days a week. And as you guys know, as people, we do trade our time for things that we want. That isn't always the best way to live your life, though. In your life, there needs to be structure and budgeting. You need the balance between being able to sleep, being able to work, and being able to play. And boy, y'all been doing a lot of sleep, especially when I talk about these top 5 budget decks. My guy, I'm not talking about bougie. I am talking about the best budget decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. And right now I'm solving 2 things at once, your mental and your wallet. We all can eat. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about 5 killer budget Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks that can be really, really good right now. That way you don't have to work as hard to be able to build these particular decks, and hopefully you stop sleeping on them, but you get the rest that you need. And by that, I mean where the rest of your commas when you start racking up them W's. And of course, as you know, I will be putting personal deck lists on my Patreon as a special thank you for helping pay my editors. Without further ado, let's jump on in. So one thing I want to talk about with every single one of these strategies is that they're going to be built in around that $100 price range. My guy, I'm not saying that you can't build these decks on cheaper. You actually can, but I think $100 is a really good starting point, especially for budget good fun Yu-Gi-Oh! Regardless if your budget is cheaper or a little bit expensive, I've already calculated that, big dog, as these decks get more powerful with the more money you get. The next thing I took into account is how powerful these decks are. It's like seeing me hit that 405 squat for reps, guys. It's powerful. Of course, I'll be rating more budget decks on my tier list to come, but until then, let's talk about these top 5s. The first I would have to say is Dino. Dino is incredibly cheap, my friend. It's really, really cheap. To be honest, the only genuinely expensive card for Dino is Xenoground, which is about $30. But outside of that, Dino is an incredibly cheap deck with nothing else ranging more than a couple dollars. Basically, what I'm saying is if you in that broke boy struggle, all of the Dino cards were reprinted in Wild Survivors that you'll need. This deck can be built in like 20 bucks. And if you got a bigger boy budget, a Dino deck can also be built in $100, as the most expensive card is Xenoground. It is very good, but you don't need the card to make the deck go. I actually really do like Dino's flexibility when it comes to budget Yu-Gi-Oh! Play. I did miss over that it topped over the course of last weekend, and it's incredibly good at being able to break boards as well as build some of its own thanks to the new Xeno monsters. If all else fails and you can't afford your Xenogrounds, maybe looking into playing a True King variant of Dinosaur using True King Lethosagum to destroy your baby Sarasaurus to banish cards out of your opponent's extra deck. Hey, I'm not saying that we playing Broke Catch Tira, guys, but we playing Dino Tears. You play Dino, they create tears, and you go, eh. Dino's the closest thing we're gonna get to Broke Cash Terror, guys. It's almost beautiful, I think. The crazy thing about this is that I even made a deck profile about Dinos a couple of weeks ago, and while I'm playing the high rarity YOLO swagged out, if you take away a couple of cards, it's still relatively cheap. Dinos unfortunately didn't get any reprints to some of their expensive cards, but the good thing is that they really didn't have any expensive cards to begin with. Another strategy that actually had expensive cards that is now cheap is Punk. My guy, my friend. All feels right in a world where Gold Pride can be a great competitive cheap deck during Gay Pride Month. They're not Well, it's close enough. That's how else I'm going to make fun of TJ. Gold Pride Punk was doing pretty well before the ban list and has been doing well after the ban list. The cool thing is that now Battles of Legends Monsters Revenge reprints a lot of the Punk cards that made the deck so expensive. Y'all remember when Punk Foxy Toon was a $28 card and you needed 3? Those days are now over. Now, there are going to be some hurdles with the Gold Pride deck if you're trying to get it under 100. One of the biggest things is that one of its best cards, Psychic and Punisher, has only been climbing up in price. It's almost like somebody told you guys to buy it before it skyrocketed in price when it was a $10 card, but who's counting? I am. I'm counting. That's another one for me. And then there's also some decently expensive Gold Pride monsters you'll have to pick up. But what I like about this particular strategy is that if you're on a super budget, you can play Gold Pride or a Punk variant of a deck. And when you do get your budget up, you can play Gold Pride Punk or other variants of other decks. It gives you the ability to be able to mix and match these archetypes with other successful strategies and still be able to play one of the best decks in the game on the cheap. I like that. Speaking of great competitive budget decks, Sword Soul is still ridiculously cheap. And because of the new Battles of Legends Monsters Revenge set, Draco Berserker Tingy is no longer a $20 card, meaning that Sword Soul can be built as a complete deck for about $100. That's insane! I think Sword Soul is extremely good right now because some of the most popular cards being played do not affect the deck at all. Ash Blossom? What's an Ash Blossom? Boy, yeah, it's Chain Link 2! You do the math. Other popular cards like Infinite Impermanence and Bookaboo can be completely dodged. And Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion is also a non-factor, but the thing that I love the most about this deck is that it can play the Bystials very well. I personally think when Battles of Legends Monster Revenge comes out, the Bystial monsters will be crucial for helping combat against the Dragon strategy because they get another amazing card in Assault Synchron, and the expensive deck already gets more expensive and powerful. Sword Soul is one of the few strategies that has the board breaking potential to be able to stop that deck from popping off, but also the board making potential to Sinister Sovereign Long Yuan from being able to prevent it from getting started in the first place. That's a nice boot sector launch you got there. It'd be a shame if I banished it. Same thing with your black and white dragons in Assault Synchron. I know you're kind. I played in one with you before. Rika is actually a strategy that did get support in Battles of Legends Monsters Revenge, but even before, it was a deck that topped every single time you said the deck was bad. I swear, there were people in the comment section. Rika is bad! Rika is bad! Oh, Rika's bad! Regional YCS National Tops. That's all it does. That's all it does. I guess you could say you planted the seed of its growth. Hey. The support card that I'm talking about in the set is Rose Shaman, which allows you to tribute itself to draw a card. I'm not done. Its real effect allows you to banish itself from the graveyard to target a plant monster in the graveyard and then add it to the hand. If you added a plant monster whose level was originally 7 or higher, you can send one plant monster from your deck to the graveyard. Konami. What did we tell you about foolish burial cards? Stop making foolish burial cards! I don't think that this card necessarily puts plants over the top, but to be honest with you, plants were already really strong, and giving them another card to potentially utilize is a good thing for the deck. It is one of the very, very few budget decks that can full combo in one card, and also allows you to be able to tribute your opponent's monsters for your own effects for cost. Yeah, that's pretty good. It gives you the flexibility to play a ton of hand traps and staples, pretty much whatever you want. So if you're on a budget, you can supplement those high-end cards for the lower end, and it'll also blossom into one of the best decks in the game, my boy. Yeah, that joke stood alone to fire that one. I think Rika plants have set themselves up in a very good position, especially when all else fails, you can just normal summon a monster like Cactus Bouncer to your side of the field to end all the shenanigans against some of the top competitive decks. But the last competitive budget deck I would have to give it to. In this last slot, there are so many decks to pick from. Mathmech, Marine Cess, even Black Wings, that new card for Black Wings. Oh, you better watch out. The last strategy, I gotta disappoint myself because I've said it so many times. Ladies, there's something I want to tell you guys. You are a 10 if you play Yu-Gi-Oh! Cut that in half if you play Floowandereeze. Nobody wants to see you play Floowandereeze. Floowandereeze is still a powerful Yu-Gi-Oh strategy in today's Yu-Gi-Oh card game because it does the exact same thing. My guys, I just want to turn off my brain and normal summon Rabina. Some of the most busted things about Floowandereeze is being able to normal summon after your first normal summon. My guy, some decks get 2 normal summons, that's fine, but this deck gets like 6 on your turn. Floowandereeze also being able to disable attack position special summon monsters is huge. It's literally one of the most annoying things about the deck, that you have to summon monsters in defense and then hopefully get rid of the impin. But then there's also the Floowandereeze Unexplored Winds, which allows you to tribute your cards. My guy, it literally allows you to tribute cards. But then lastly, if I had to pick something that is single-handedly the most busted thing about Floowandereeze, it is Harpy's Featherstorm. Floowandereeze may not be the cause of it, but one day this card will be a banned Yu-Gi-Oh card. I mean, read it. It says your opponent can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! This card is easily in the same category as the Cyberstein FTK, the Gimmick Puppet Lock, and of course the Kashtira 9-Zone Lock. It is the stupidest card to ever exist, and Harpies can't even play it the best. It's decks like Floowandereeze. And that is all that I have for the top 5 budget decks this format. I'm really curious to see, what do you guys have for me? What do you think are the top 5? And also, what are you expecting on the budget tier list? Of course, if you want to see more amazing content, you already know what to do, big dog. Be sure to check out these other amazing videos, and I'll catch you on the next one.